Because he used to do a lot of like kind of unusual analysis. He'd bring up a lot of good points. But then I quickly realized that he's just a perma-bear. Like every single week he would find a new rising wedge. And he'd say like, "Oh, the market's going to crash. Look, this the last time it did this, it crashed like 20%." And like he would constantly find like anecdotal evidence and compare it to what we're seeing whatever day of the week it is, and he would say why the market's going to crash. And I unfollowed him. He's one of those guys that's like, he wants to keep calling for another recession. So when it happens, he can be like, "Oh, guys, I told you." It's like, dude, you've been calling for a recession for like the past 10 years. He's never changed, dude. Throughout all my years of trading, I've seen his tweets. He's never changed. He's been a perma-bear the entire time. It's most likely due to option expiration. Most options expirations are around that week. And then you have a lot of witching dates around those weeks. You have, I can't remember what it is. There's something specific that goes on in the Fed that happens around that time. What's going on, Daily Dev? What's going on, Alan? Let me fix my thumbnail. You said you're doing all right. You had a break from scalping around today. Was too busy to focus, so catching up. Yeah, I only had one trade today, and I'll go over it in just 1 second. Hey, Sarish, what's going on? Sarish, one thing. You signed up for the $30 analysis plan under our little promotion that we were doing to get you an indicator. You forgot to give me your TradingView username. So if you could log in and update your profile with your username, that'd be great. If not, just type it in chat and I can update it myself. I think a couple of you guys did that when you signed up for our $30 tier. When I was giving you guys that little promotion on stream. Make sure you guys put your TradingView username, or I'm not going to be able to give you access. No, your TradingView username. The username that you use on TradingView itself, because that's where you're going to get the indicator. Hey, Chad, what's going on? Okay, so the one trade that I took today was this trade here. I called this out in Discord. I didn't call out that I was trading it. I didn't want you guys to blindly follow me, but I did call out the breakout. I gave you guys the target. So as soon as it started to break out of this little flat top right here, we took a little ES trade, and then we targeted the Fibonacci level. I got out a little early. I got out on this candle here, the 1255 candle. So I didn't wait for this like little final push. So we got a pretty good exit there. And that was the only trade I took today. Everything else was pretty sideways. Sarish, this is TradingView. The platform that I'm using is TradingView. If you want to get access to the indicator, I need your username that you use on this platform. If you don't have a TradingView account, then don't worry about it. You're just not going to get access to the indicator. But if you want access to the indicator, you have to make a TradingView account and then put it on the website. TradingView is free. You can make a free account. They have paid plans. Obviously, you don't need a paid plan to use any of my indicators. If you make a free account, you can. The problem with making a free account is I can't give you access until like a day later because your name will not come up in the system. So if you make a free account, just remind me tomorrow during stream or something, and then I can add you. Yeah, Thunder, you're going to feel like that on anything that's like SPY that likes to perpetually go up. I said that on Costco. Costco is one of those stocks where it doesn't matter where you sell, you're going to sell early. So you just have to have mindsets like time frames in mind, right? Like, do you have a short-term mindset, long-term mindset? Like, if you have a long-term mindset on Costco, then you just don't sell it. You just don't look at it. It's just going to keep going up. What I like to do with SPY, which I'm starting to do more often, is have a long-term position and then trade scalps. So like right now, I don't have a long-term position on SPY, but I have one on Qs. So like if it just keeps going up, that position will keep growing. And then all the smaller intraday moves, I can try to scalp with like futures, or you could use like same-day options. So it's always best to have like a long-term focus, maybe like 60 days, 100 days out. You could build some spreads, or you could build just regular naked options. And then you could scalp on the same week, like every week. So if it just keeps going higher, you get a really good return on your longer play. For long term is a few weeks. For me, it's anything over like 30 to 60 days. Now, that's not really long term for like most people. Like if you say long term for most people, they're thinking like 3 to 5 years. But I'm a very short term trader. So when I say long term, anything over like a month or two is long term for me. The majority of all of my trades are closed within like 1 week. 1 to 2 weeks tops. So if it goes past 1 to 2 weeks, it's long term. Like I've been holding like PayPal, Coinbase, UUP. I've been holding these for a long time. They're in my long-term portfolio. But then I had like Netflix, where I had shares in my long-term portfolio and I had shares in my short-term portfolio. And my short-term portfolio, we closed within, I think it was like less than 2 weeks. It was very, very short amount of time. Yeah, we bought it down here around like August 3rd or 12th. One of these dips here we bought, and then we sold it on the pump. So it was around 2 weeks. The most of my short-term stuff is around 1 to 2 weeks. Where I like to be is like 3 to 5 days. Like that's a good trade for me. If I can get in and get out in 3 to 5 days, I'm very happy. I've found with like my style of trades, like if I try to hold on to them longer than I initially wanted to, they usually don't go my way. Like if I have like a 3 to 5 day time horizon and it's not done within that 3 to 5 days, it's usually going to come back. You said you've been doing the same thing on Qs, keeping and adjusting long term. Yeah, it works out, man. I just don't recommend doing like naked calls if you do that, because even though the theta's low, they still bleed out. Do some kind of spread, like diagonals, debit spreads, calendar spreads, something. Naked calls, you can do it, but it's much higher risk. They do bleed out a lot. Depending on how long term you're going. Like if you're going really long term, like a year plus, then you can buy naked. But if you're going like 60 days, 80 days, you probably want to do a spread. Because that's right in the realm where a month from now, when it gets to like 30 days out, they're going to start bleeding very quickly. How long do I stay in a trade on Bitcoin? I treat Bitcoin the same way that I've been treating SPY recently. I have like spot holdings where I just don't touch them. And then I have scalps that I like to be in and out very, very quickly. Sadly, I actually missed this entire move on Bitcoin because I've been closing on a house and they've been scouring every single record I have. And they really don't like my crypto trading. Like it was a nightmare explaining my crypto trading to them. So I missed this entire move. I would have really liked to buy back my spot somewhere down here and then held on to it for the big move, but I wasn't touching my FTX account the entire time. I was just too afraid of getting red flagged on my closing. But yeah, so typically if you guys have been watching the stream for the past few years, or no matter how long, like past year, you've probably seen me do it. I have like major holdings where I put in a lot of money into Bitcoin and I just hold on to it. But then I scalp. So like if you guys remember back when I first started streaming back in like 2018, let me go to the index chart. How do you get the index? It's like Bitcoin index. Here we go. Yeah, so if you guys remember back when I first started streaming, I started trading crypto in April of April of 2017, and then we rode it all the way up, took a lot of trades, sold most of my crypto, and then I started piecing out of like all my holdings around this kind of area here. But then I took a major loss on this nuke here. I thought this was going to bottom out. In hindsight, this is the easiest trade I've ever seen. I don't know how I missed this trade. But during the time, I thought it was going to bottom, and I thought it was going to pump. So we lost a lot of money on this nuke. And then we bought back all of our holdings right before it started to rip here. And we rode this all the way up. Well, not all the way up, actually. We rode it to about, I think it was about 7,500. And then I shorted almost the entire way up. But all of my holdings were in Bitcoin. So I was holding Bitcoin this entire time, but I wasn't in a Bitcoin long, if that makes sense. I wasn't long Bitcoin, but all of my holdings were in Bitcoin. So I short basically from 7,500 all the way up, I shorted. And then around 13,000, if you guys remember, if you guys are old time viewers, Sticky and I both were like, this looks really toppy. We do not want to be holding Bitcoin here. We both sold almost all of our crypto holdings around 13,000. So we damn near caught the top. And then we rode it all the way down. And I bought my holdings back around 8,000 here on this bottom. And then we started to pump. So we felt pretty good, but then it nuked. I bought some more around this area. And then I didn't sell any was the problem. I didn't sell any of my holdings on this push up. And then I once again lost a lot of my holdings on that nuke. So I did very bad in this nuke and very bad in this nuke. But the thing with me is like, I've been missing these nukes, but I've been very good about making it back. So like then we bought back in. We had a very good run up. If you guys remember in Discord, I had my my bot, and then we had some like OTS signals come in, and we did very well on this run up. And then I closed all of my holdings. Once again, if you guys remember on stream, I told you guys way back here when it broke, what was it, 56.6? I told you guys 56.6 was lining up on like every single technique I use. Volume profile, moving averages, OTS, even the bot, like literally every single technique I use, Fibonacci, they were all telling me to sell. So I sold all of my holdings at 56.6. Sadly, where I messed up, once again, I did not short this move down. So, I didn't make any money on the way down, even though I predicted this failure beautifully. And it's really funny because if you guys remember, I make most of my money shorting during bull markets. It's very weird, but that's where I make most of my money on crypto. I'm very good at finding local tops and selling them and shorting them. So I don't really know what was going through my head back here. I missed this move. But the majority of my money on this bull run and on this bull run, I actually made shorting. I am definitely a short bias trader, which makes me struggle a little bit sometimes when I'm trading equities, because equities you like never want to short. Shorting is like just a death sentence in most cases. But yeah, there you go. Now you guys are all caught up to like my history on Bitcoin. Throughout the days on our stream, we've done a lot of small account challenges. We've even done like trading competitions in our Discord, and they've all been fairly successful. The biggest small account challenge that we actually did it right before I started streaming, but then I showed you guys the results. We started with less than $200 back in 2017, and we grew it to very close to like 7,000. So it was a very good return on that small account. That is, to this date, my biggest return on small account challenges. What percentage is that? It was like $175 to about 7,000, somewhere around 7,500. It's a 40x multiple. So that's our record to beat. We're going to be starting up a new small account challenge fairly soon, once I'm done with the closing and everything. Yeah, man, it's rough. They really did not understand my crypto stuff. And I made a joke in Discord that it was probably because it was some boomer who was like really old, that didn't know what crypto was, and I found out that's exactly what it was. My closing agent was like a really old lady. She has no idea what crypto is. Trying to explain to her my crypto income, it was a nightmare. Because crypto exchanges are not very good about statements. So like if you print out your statements on Tastyworks or TD Ameritrade or whatever trading platform, they are very thorough. They say like, this is what you bought, this is what you sold, here's your dividends, like everything. Here's your fees. It breaks it all down. Very simple. Crypto does not do that. I printed out my statements on Coinbase, and all it shows is deposits and withdrawals and conversions. That's it. So if you guys are big crypto traders and you're trying to make any big purchases with like financial institutions, you got to get your records in order. Dev said, may I ask, when you're experiencing a pump on an asset which reaches all-time high, are there any tips on how to identify where to exit on the pump? Because I know we all feel we exit too early. As long as we are watching the chart live and we are in profit, we're good. But is there any suggestions available to use identify the hold a little bit longer? Fibonacci, man. I teach a technique on how to find targets when things are breaking out, and that's the best way to do it, is Fibonacci. I have a video on that if you watch my Fibonacci video. Like, for example, if we were taking like a breakout move here, mathematically, this just gives us all of our levels. So we don't have to think about it. You just look at the Fibonacci levels and use them to get out. This is actually a really good spot right here. If you guys use my Fibonacci technique, this is a buy zone right where Bitcoin is right now. The problem with Bitcoin here is you're getting an 80% rule. So if you look at this old profile, you are retracing inside this profile. So you need to immediately bounce out of this profile, or you're going to go back down to like 48.4. Not long, but holding Bitcoin. How do you do that? So you can, when you're on like a margin exchange, you can long Bitcoin by buying contracts. The contracts are based, the contracts are denominated in dollars. So like if I have $10,000 long on Bitcoin, I'm long that many contracts, right? But you cannot be long on Bitcoin and just holding Bitcoin as an asset. Like I can have 1 Bitcoin in my account, but I'm not actually long Bitcoin. It's called holding spot. Like I'm holding spot Bitcoin, but I'm not long Bitcoin. So if you want to double dip, you can have Bitcoin spot in your account and you can long Bitcoin. I did this with FTT, if you guys remember back during the last pump. I was holding FTT, staking it for rewards, but then I was also long FTT. So I was double dipping. I don't recommend double dipping. Double dipping usually turns out badly. But if you're like double dipping for like a short-term trade, it's not too bad. Like if you're holding your spot Bitcoin long-term, you don't want to touch it, but then you're trading Bitcoin short-term, exactly how I was talking about earlier, that's not bad. But you don't want to double dip long-term. You don't want to hold Bitcoin spot long-term and hold a bunch of contracts long. That usually does not end well. Unless you are very good at trading and like you're good at hedging and all those sort of things. That's also where hedging comes into play. If you are holding, say, 1 Bitcoin spot and then Bitcoin starts to pump and you want to take some profit, but you don't want to close your spot holdings, then you can just short the futures contracts. So like if I have 1 Bitcoin spot, let's just say I have $50,000 long, technically, on the spot, right? Because it's worth $50,000. If I want to hedge that, and I think Bitcoin's coming down, then I can short, say, 10,000 contracts or 20,000 contracts. So now I'm technically only holding $30,000 worth of Bitcoin because I'm long I'm spot 50,000 and then I'm short 20,000. So my net holdings are 30,000 long. Can you please explain the 80% rule? Yes, it's very simple. You have a value area that we have traded outside of and found value, and now we are retracing back inside of it. So if you hold inside that value area, you have an 80% chance to see the other side. Sorry, Dom, I read your question. I forgot to answer it. You said, given the P-shaped profile today, SPY pullback tomorrow to gap unlikely or support node around 446. Didn't want to chase today. So you have 2 methodologies to P-shaped profiles. You have the balance methodology, where you believe that this is an imbalance and it needs to rebalance itself. So you can short the highs when it gives you some signs of major resistance, and then you target a rebalance of this lower portion of the profile, or you can play the breakout, which is typically what happens. It's a higher strike rate. It is going to continue higher. if it can stay above the dominant node, which currently it's not doing. So your probability would probably be closer to the imbalance being repaired. So it's not highly unlikely that we can come down to support. It's just more probable that we break out, if that makes sense. Like, I wouldn't say this is like an 80% chance you're going to break out. It's probably closer to like 60 or 70. Like, you still have a chance that you will fall down and repair the lower section, which we have seen many times. So, like, yesterday is a good example of it breaking higher. We had a P shape, it broke higher. Because that is statistically what should happen. But then we had a P shape here that broke lower. And we repaired the imbalance. So you see this area that does not have a lot of volume? It was repaired. So now if we take a profile for the past 2 days, it's repaired. And most of the volume is actually now towards the low. And then funny enough, what happens now? Most of the volume is towards the low. This is not a balanced profile. Balanced profile should be towards the middle. So what did it do now? Then it repaired itself again. And now it's fairly balanced. I don't know why my tool changed colors. I'm doing these backward. Which pink do I use? I use this row second from bottom. POC, I do yellow. I think that is it. What is the transparency I use? 80%, 80%, 50, 50. Here you guys go, who wanted to see my settings. These are my settings. Then I have 130 total. 100 total. 70. I said 30, but I meant 70. There you go. Alright, let me save this. Okay, so because today is imbalanced, it's not being very efficient, right? The market wants to be efficient. But statistically, this wants to go higher. It doesn't have to go higher, but it wants to go higher. So very likely, if it closes like this, tomorrow should be bullish. But if you close kind of losing this node and creating this resistance area, then we can go for the repair trade, and we can repair this lower section. Because if you take a Fibonacci, which I've already done, actually I need a new one here. So I'll get rid of this one for a second. If you take a Fibonacci here, and you take the high and low of the day, where the POC should be is the 50% mark. The POC is way higher. If this market was completely efficient, the POC should be here. 446.68. But the market can't always be completely efficient because then it wouldn't do anything. It would just go sideways all the time. You know what I mean? So it can't always be efficient. So on a P shape, the second wave will open below? No. On a P shape, the node is towards the top. As long as you're above that node and holding that node as support, you should push higher. But you can also trade it as a imbalanced trade, and you could trade it to the downside if it loses this node. The 18th was the Fed minutes nuke. It doesn't matter, because technicals are always going to line up with fundamentals. You were saying because the P shape didn't play out that time, didn't play out to the upside that time, likely due to the minutes. Yeah. So that just played into the fact that it's not always going to work. But even if the minutes wasn't there, you're still going to have P shapes that fail. There was a dominant P shape right here that busted higher, so that's good. We don't really have like clearly dominant P shapes very often in SPY. Like, in all honesty, man, I know SPY looks extremely choppy, but looking at all the profiles, the majority of them are balanced. The SPY market is very efficient. Like, the majority of these are balanced. Like, balanced, P-shape, outside day, balanced, outside day. That one's almost balanced. That's probably an outside day. That one's pretty much balanced. P-shape, P-shape. Like, they're mostly balanced. Balance. That one's almost a P-shape, but you could say that's balanced as well. P-shape there. Balanced, P-shape. Lowercase b. That's the far back it's going to give me. Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point, Sarish. The fact that it's above VWAP gives it a higher probability of breaking out higher. Correct. Yeah, so like if you're looking at VWAP here, and it's going to be very, very difficult to find a P-shaped profile that is not above VWAP. The only way a P-shaped profile is not going to be above VWAP is if it has like a late in the day nuke. Like if it nukes somewhere around like the end of the day. Other than that, it's almost physically impossible for it to be below VWAP, right? Because the volume is trading towards the high of day. So the volume weighted average price is going to be below it. And vice versa for a B shape. It's almost going to be physically impossible for VWAP to be below a lowercase b. But yes, if this like nuked towards the end of the day and you close below VWAP, then you're most likely going to go for a repair trade tomorrow and you're not going to break out higher. So that could be like your line in the sand that tells you like which way you want to trade this. You can also use like the value area, the POC, stuff like that. Like right now, this looks very bullish. Unless there's some kind of news or like some kind of sell-off on ES aftermarkets, this should be breaking out higher tomorrow.
Hey Deja, quick question.
What's up?
How does Tilray TLRY look to you?
Tilray's dog shit, honestly. It's one of the worst stocks in the market to trade. Looks pretty bottomed out. If you don't mind risking a nuke down to like $9, which would be a pretty bad nuke. But these weed stocks, they suck. One of the worst investments, to be honest.
But it does look pretty bottomed out, doesn't it?
It does look bottomed out on the lower time frames. But the problem with Tilray is it always looks bottomed out, and it keeps going. Like, you could have said it looked bottomed out many times throughout 2019, 2020, and the thing got wrecked.
Well, I'm calling the bottom right now.
The good thing about Tilray is if your risk reward is decent, and you do land one of those major pumps, it does pump very hard.
Yeah, that's what I was just hoping on. I just took out some leaps, $100 leaps, see if I could fucking catch it just like I did with AMC earlier this year.
It's one of those trades where you could be wrong 5 times, but if you catch the bulk of the pump on that 6th time, you'll still make money. But I don't put any of my money in wheat stocks. Wheat stocks are like gold and silver to me. They trade like dog shit. Same thing with pharmaceuticals. I try to stay away from pharmaceuticals, even though it's an easy trade right now, trading Pfizer and Moderna. I try to stay away from pharma. Mainly because of my news luck is so bad. I'd hop into a pharma trade and then the vaccines would give people cancer and I would lose all my money. So I try to get into companies where news could come out and it will not affect my trade very much because the companies are beast. Oh, by the way, guys, the Zim shipper that I've been telling you guys about that I'm invested in, they announced a special dividend that is going to be paid on September something, like first week of September. You have to have the shares by tomorrow and hold them through the dividend if you want to be paid the dividend. So keep an eye on that. It's a $2 dividend. So very, very good. And it's only a $48 stock. So $2 dividend is huge. It's not on August 24th. This is like the ex-dividend date. I don't know why TradingView shows that. They're going to pay it out in September. It's a special dividend, meaning they're not going to keep paying $2 every single dividend. It's just this one time. I think it's mainly due to their massive earnings they just had. Some calls coming in. What's that on? Ooh, big SPX calls coming in. 10.5 million. 4,300s for September. Have some VIX calls coming in. Those are hedges, obviously. FXI for 500K. What is FXI? China. Somebody's betting on China? Could be a bulldog. There is a pivot coming in. Is it worth buying if it's already up? You can buy it if you're willing to hold on to it long term. Like, yes, it might go down on dividends, but my thought process with dividends is always the same. Dividends get priced in usually to the downside, so short term guys get burnt. But if you're planning on holding the stock long term, it doesn't matter. So if you're planning on holding Zim long term, which I am, it doesn't matter if it goes down on dividends. You're just getting paid to hold it. What were those calls? They were 827, 40 and a half for 499K. Beautiful day on Q, so we're getting paid fat on our little long-term play. But a bad day on UUP, so we're getting burnt on our hedge, which is by design. The hedge is not doing well because all of our other stuff is doing well. So we're still green. If we didn't have a hedge, obviously we'd be more green. But you pay for protection. And I still like Dixie for my hedge as long as this trend is maintained. If it loses this trend, I'll probably start to close my hedge and just let my stocks run. What I don't like is that thing that I posted in Discord, I think it was over the weekend. We have not seen a big correction on SPY in a long time. What was that thing I posted? It was like, I think it's over 10% is what they look for. We've only seen like little micro corrections, like 2%. Might have been 5% that I was looking for, or that the article was showing. But like all these corrections are like less than 5%. So we haven't had a big correction since September. I'm hedged on UUP. I'm buying calls on UUP because it's Dixie. So if Dixie goes up, typically the markets go down. So if Dixie goes up, then if Dixie goes up, I make money on UUP. I'm down currently on UUP, I think by like 25 to 30%. But I'm already up over 30% on my Q's position, so good. Zim is a shipping company. It's one of the biggest, too. And I think with what's going on with the crisis around the world, the shipping companies are going to continue to rip. We already have a very good entry on Zim. We dollar cost averaged all the way down. We're up over 10% on this one. We're up over 15% on Maddox. And we're up about 10% on NMM. So I'm slightly diversified in 3 different shippers. Zim is my biggest, and it's the biggest shipping company in the portfolio, like market cap wise. I based my weighting on market cap. So my biggest weighting is in the biggest company, and then I have smaller in Maddox and then smaller in NMM. But that portfolio as a whole is doing very well. Myrna looks like it's about a gap up overnight. Myrna's doing really well. It's mainly because of the Pfizer news. They have a massive P-shaped profile, and it's pushing towards the high day. So, very strong. Very strong, excuse me. I lost my breath. 424 is the next target on that, and then 460. You could also go for the gap fill around 455. But yeah, it's because of the Pfizer news. Pfizer had FDA approval, and then Biden came out and said that he is calling for all companies, not federal companies, all companies. He is calling for all companies to mandate vaccines. which is shocking, to say the least. Bitcoin, yeah. So Bitcoin had nasty daily candle. If it closes like this, it's not looking too good. Still playing out a bear div. You're entering into an 80% rule. So if you get below this value area high here and hold below it, which it currently is, you're going to go down to 48.5 minimum. And then you could go down to 47.5. But for now, it's definitely weak. So if SPY closes like this, it's not going to look the greatest because it's below most of the node, but it's not terrible. As long as it doesn't push away from the node. If it pushes away, then you could see some bearish action tomorrow. As far as economic stuff goes, there's not much happening Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But Thursday and Friday is pretty big. So make sure you guys watch out for Thursday and Friday. There is a conference going on with a lot of bankers and big financial heads from Thursday throughout the weekend. And then we have GDP coming out, I believe, on Thursday as well. And I believe there's some kind of Fed talk on Friday. So a lot of stuff happening towards the end of the week, which is also the end of the month. So be careful. I guess technically next week would be the end of the month, but coming up on the end of the month. Yeah, Jackson Hole, exactly. Jackson Hole is happening. I don't know how long it is. I know it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm not sure if it goes into Sunday. Jesus Christ. Somebody bought one of those art blocks for 1,000 Ethereum. What the fuck, dude? The NFT market is absolutely insane. 1,000 Ethereum. $3.3 million. Some IWM calls coming in, 224s, about 500,000. Same ones that came in earlier at 11 o'clock. Yeah, 9 3s, same ones. 224 is a little far out of the money. 5 points out of the money here. You have reclaimed that trend line. Could be a perfect bulldog. We talked about this last week. This could be a bulldog forming. It goes until Sunday. That conference. Gotcha. Ebola, to be honest, I've been saying this in Discord. Most of the NFT volume that you see is not people. It's not like an ordinary person like me buying an NFT and then selling it to somebody who's paying like 10x the price. The majority of the volume that you are seeing is phony volume. It's wash sailing, it's money laundering, it's people cleaning their money. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying there aren't people making money on NFTs. There are plenty of people making money on NFTs. But these like massive orders and like seeing all this money move around, most of it's phony. And I don't know that for a fact. I'm just making an assumption here. But I do know, I shouldn't even really talk about this, but I do know how it can be used to clean money. So I know that there are a lot of people with those massive trades, quote unquote, or those purchases or sales. It's just them cleaning money. So take that as you will. I think when you look at NFT sales and like you feel like you're missing out, like people are making all this crazy money. It's not a bunch of people making crazy money. It's a few people making crazy money and a vast majority of them just cleaning money. And that's all I'm going to talk about before I get banned. Yeah, exactly what SR said in Discord. It's the same thing that people do with traditional art. They've been doing it with traditional art for decades, probably even centuries. This is a nasty close on SPY. It's coming all the way down to VWAP. You didn't even bounce off VWAP there. You're breaking right through it. Not a good close. Nasty close if you're looking at the 1 minute chart. Here we go. Little bounce around VWAP. Australian former NBA star Andrew Bogut, I don't know how to say his last name, says he was offered money to promote lockdowns but refused. Jesus Christ. How do you interpret Momo here? Momo's putting in a small bull div, but you are entering a downtrend. So that's how you would read the Momo. It's trying to find a bull div, not completely confirmed, because it's only like one peak. It's not really creating a multi-peak bull div. And the trend line is going into a downtrend. It's basically telling you if this does not create a bull div here, this downtrend is going to get strong. Which it probably won't create a bull div because we only have 2 minutes left. So it's going to be invalidated most likely. It's funny, what did I say earlier? The only way to close weak here is if we nuked below VWAP, and that's exactly what it did. So you're putting in like the only scenario where this would be bearish is a last minute nuke below VWAP. Very bad 5 minute close if we close like this. What would be really nice is we got like a massive chunk of volume right here and pushed it back above VWAP and then created this really nice bottom tail. That would be nice. But you have 30 seconds, so unless some big buyer steps in here, not going to happen. You see what the Momo did here? The Momo on the 5 minute gave you a bearish pinch. And like I told you guys, when the Momo is pinching, it is nearly 100% strike rate. It is the strongest signal out of any indicator that we've made. It's extremely rare, though. That's why it's so strong. But yeah, this told you right here that it was going down. All right, what are those calls coming in? Blasting my eardrums. A lot of Chinese stuff. JD, PDD, Baba. A lot of Chinese stuff getting call flow. All right, there's the close. Weak close. You lost VWAP. So unless you bounce very, very quickly tomorrow morning, it's probably going to be a bearish day. But all right, guys, I got to get out of here. If you guys want to join the Discord, we have a $30 tier. It's only $1 a day. You guys can get all of our daily analysis and our trade ideas for just $1. So check that out. It's on our website. I'm going to send you guys a link. If you guys are in stream, I will be seeing you guys tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you guys are in Discord, I will be seeing you guys tomorrow at 9:30 in the morning. So see you guys then. You guys have a good night. Stay safe.